issue in the hallway. Am I on? Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning and welcome to our Tuesday morning, July 23rd meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. My name is Andy Hunthausen. To my left, Commissioner Tom Rolfe. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Tom's left is Brandi Spangler, who will be taking care of us. Thank you, Brandi. And Greg McNally is the Director of Planning and Community Development. Commissioner Payne is on her way. She'll be here in a minute. We'll introduce her. We have Deputy County Attorneys Nico Hash and Keegan Shea. Good morning, gentlemen. And Roger Baltz, our Chief Administrative Officer. Good morning, Mr. Baltz. There is a sign-in sheet in the front as well as agendas. If you'd please sign in prior to leaving today, that would be grand for our records. We will start with consent action items today, and I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Baltz.
Thank you, Commissioner, or Mr. Chair and Commissioner Rolfe. You have two items to consider today. The first is item 2A. That's the public meeting minutes for July 2, 4, 9, 2024, and staff recommends approval of those items. The second item on the consent action agenda is fiscal year 2024 final budget amendments, and staff recommends approval of that item as well. And those are all of the consent items this morning, Commissioners. Thank you very much.
Great. No problem. Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions about consent? The consent action. All right. How about public comment? Any public comment on consent? Hearing none, is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve consent action items 2A and B as explained by Mr. Baltz.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve consent as presented. Further discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. And Commissioner Payne, welcome. We introduced you, but you weren't there. We said she's coming. So
Well,
good morning.
I apologize for my tardiness, and just so everyone knows that the budget amendments were explained in detail by Frank Cromwell yesterday to me.
Great.
So I really do. I didn't just fly in here and approve something I hadn't looked at.
Right. Great. Thank you for that explanation. And those are all available for folks if they want to look at them. All right. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is a contract between Lewis and Clark County and Sanderson Stewart. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and Commissioners. For the record, my name is Jenny Chambers, Lewis Clark County Public Works Director. In January of 2024, Public Works advertised a request for proposal to design a roundabout improvement to the Custer Henderson intersection. The project is in cooperation with the Lewis and Clark County Fairgrounds. And then before you today is the contract with Sanderson Stewart, a professional engineering firm, for the completion of this design of the roundabout, which will include general project management, site survey work, drainage assessment, and recommendations, and in addition to geotechnical recommendations, conceptual intersection designs, and a 30% design of the project, as well as a final design. In addition, they're going to help us with environmental and permitting preparation in the plans in the future when we're able to actually construct this project. So this is the design of the roundabout for Custer and Henderson at that intersection. The total contract amount is $207,204.80. Staff recommends approval of this contract for the professional services to Sanderson Stewart and authorizes the chair to sign.
Thank you very much. Questions, commissioners? Question. Just you may have mentioned this in your presentation there, but a little bit about timelines and when we're expecting this work to be done and that kind of thing. And just a reminder to folks, this is the design and this is the engineering. We're not building this yet. So just an explanation about the project.
Sure, Commissioner. So in order to hopefully get long-term funding in the future to actually do construction of that, it's going to be extremely helpful to have a design completed for this project. It is funded with the ARPA dollars, American Rescue Plan Act dollars, in partnership with Lewis and Clark County Fairgrounds, for the pavement operations of that facility. So the intersection is kind of with that overall growth plan in mind with the fairgrounds. It is just for the design of the project, but it is going to give us all the basis of that work in the future for construction. So a conceptual design, a final design of the roadway and the roundabout, wetland delineation for environmental permitting that's going to be needed, a geotechnical work to know how wide we need to make that and what part of the right of way we're going to need in the future to build that. So it's going to be a robust design. It will give us all the pieces and parts we need to know in order to try to find funding in the future to actually do construction of the project. The time for performance for the contract, they're going to start right away upon fully execution of this contract. There's a lot of pieces and parts to gather, traffic data, sampling data, geotechnical work, as well as just the engineering design pieces for surveying and those type of things. And they're scheduled to be complete with the design October 31st, 2025. So it's about 1.5 years as far as the time, a little bit longer to get that full design done for this project.
Great. Thank you very much. That helps. Questions, commissioners? Any other questions? Okay, how about public comment on this item? Public comment. Any public comment? Hearing none? Commissioners, is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the contract between Lewis and Clark County and Sanderson Stewart as presented by Public Works Director Jenny Chambers.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the contract as presented. Further discussion?
If I might,
Please.
Mr. Chair, I was kind of slow to become a believer in these traffic circles, but I think they really work, and that might just be a great spot for it. My first experience on a traffic circle was one time I was back in DC and had rented a car and wound up driving 6 or 7 times around DuPont Circle because I couldn't get out. So when they started building them around here, I didn't think it was a very good idea, but I was wrong. They keep traffic flowing, they slow the traffic down, and keep traffic going. And I think that could be an ideal answer for that particular intersection.
Well, you sold me, Commissioner. Now I'm a believer. No, and statistically, it is pretty obvious that they're much safer. So even when there are accidents, those intersections, they're very, very seldom life-threatening. They're usually fender benders in a roundabout versus a regular intersection where you can have more dramatic accidents. Please, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman, I too was very skeptical. Just what we need is a roundabout. But every day I come in on Lincoln and there are 3 roundabouts out there. They all work. They keep traffic moving. There is not it used to be a 4-way stop out there at the corner of there by Bob's Valley Market. And it was just a fight every day. And this is working great. I take back all the mean things I have said about a roundabout. They work.
Thank you, Commissioner. They do work. They move traffic and they're safer. So why not?
And one additional advantage is that those who go around in circles may well become big wheels.
That's right.
Oh.
That's good. So beyond that, I think this is just wise. That was very good, Commissioner. Beyond that, this is wise because we have for a long period of time, the entire community, both jurisdictions, city, county, and then of course our fairgrounds folks have been interested in improving and have had Custer as a priority for improvement for a long time. Parts of Custer that corridor is in design at some level and probably will be a phased process. But this is at the fairgrounds end of that system, and it just makes sense to be ready. If we have what we call a shovel-ready project that is ready for action, when we get to that point or when funding becomes available or we can apply for a federal grant or whatever it might be, It is wise, I believe, and it is probably going to really improve the flow of things in and out of that area, especially when we have large events. So it will be a positive in the long run, and I'm looking forward to that sometime in the future. All right, with that, commissioners, anything else? All right, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is a contract between Lewis and Clark County and Sorensen Plumbing and Heating. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Hunt, Housing Commissioners. I'm Audra Zacherl, Assistant Director of Public Works. Before you this morning is a contract with Sorenson Plumbing and Heating to provide mechanical, electrical, and plumbing services to modify the detention center's domestic hot water system to expand its capacity. The total contract amount is not to exceed $78,996.75, and funding has been budgeted in the detention center building fiscal year 25 operations budget. Substantial completion shall be reached by September 13th of 2024. Staff recommends approval of this contract with Sorenson Plumbing and Heating for a total sum not to exceed $78,996.75, with substantial completion to be reached by September 13th, and authorize the chair to sign all applicable contract documents. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much. Any questions, commissioners? Any questions? Please.
I would kind of like to know, and maybe this is something that our friend in the front row over there could explain. What is the problem they're having with the hot water system? Just not enough hot water, or too much hard water in the system, or what?
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioner Payne, I will have Matt come up and explain
Thank
to you.
you.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning, Chairman, Commissioners. So about a year,
Matt, can you just give us your name?
Mike McCarley, Building Supervisor for Public Works. So about a year after the jail project, they delayed opening the largest pod in the jail, which is Pod D. It houses 48 inmates just in that pod alone. They were almost 10 months delayed in opening that particular pod. But the first thing that we noticed was during the project, it was overlooked that the heating plant in the attic of the jail is actually the heating plant for the courthouse. And the modifications made to the mechanical systems up there didn't accommodate the courthouse. So over the last 3 years, we have spent a couple of hundred hours in my department alone, troubleshooting, logging, analyzing data to see where the mistakes were made, what needed to be adjusted, what needed to be added. We managed to make some small changes to get us through that first heating season. And then that was about the time they opened up Pod D. When they opened up Pod D and we hit those max numbers in the jail, we could not keep up domestic hot water demand several different periods in the day when demand was high. So when laundry was going, when the kitchen was going, about those timeframes when the inmates are getting up and trying to utilize the showers. A perfect example is in Pod D. Most pods only have 1 or 2 showers. Pod D has 5, but yet they could only use 1 shower at a time, and they had to wait 10 minutes in between showers before somebody else could come in. This was just due to the domestic hot water system wasn't stepped up to meet the new numbers the jail was going to have. It was kind of left alone, which was only good for about half the numbers. So after 3 years of a lot of bucket time between us and contractors and an excellent job by Public Works admin to go back and work with the original engineers and architects, we finally have a solution. So hopefully this is the solution.
Thank you for that explanation.
Thank you, Matt. Really appreciate it. Any other questions? All right. How about public comment on this item? Any public comment? Public comment. Hearing none, is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the contract between Lewis and Clark County and Sorensen Plumbing and Heating as explained by Ms. Zacherl and Mr. McCarley.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the contract as presented. Further discussion. Thank you. Thank you for the explanation. Makes sense. We got to get this fixed. Absolutely. All right. With that, commissioners, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right. Next item on the agenda is a contract between Lewis and Clark County and Paul Putz Historic Preservation Works LLC. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Pam Matardo. I am the Heritage Preservation Officer for Lewis and Clark County. I'm staff for the Heritage Tourism Council, which is a city-county entity. I am here regarding a contract for Paul Putz Historic Preservation Works. Essentially, he does a great deal of research for us, which is wonderful because it's a very time-consuming it's an endeavor. And so it is great to be able to have Paul help out with that. And for instance, this past year, he has worked on historic site forms for the historic district in the west side. This area, the historic district, was created in 1972, but site forms were never made for it. So this is every other building in the area, and that like downtown, South Rodney, South Central, all those areas have forms, the railroad district, except for this. And so we are finishing up. We've got 100 left of 300 that we're missing. Paul also has written National Register nominations. In fact, he has finished up the nomination for the Unionville School. Once the project is finished and we have final photographs, then that can be submitted to the state, and eventually it goes to the state review board after that. The State Historic Preservation Office first gets it, then the state review board, then it goes on to the national level. So he has been a real asset in helping out in our office to make things happen like this. The Garing Ranch, for instance, that nomination was written by him. So this is a contract in the amount of 18,000, and this would be effective until August 31st, 2025.
Thank you very much. Questions, commissioners? Any questions? And this is not new. Paul's been working with us and for us and contracting with us for a long time and doing great work. We have long history, and we have
Yes,
a lot of quality work that has been
yes,
produced by Paul.
yes. He was prior to me coming in, he was the Historic Preservation Officer since about 2000 or around that time. And then I came in 2012 when he retired. So we've got that longevity of, it's really helpful, I must say, to have with Kathy Maysville 3 historic preservation officers in a row since about the 80s. And we can all work together. Yeah, it's very helpful.
A lot of depth there.
Yeah,
Yes. Well, thank you.
thank you.
Any other questions, commissioners? Comments? Okay. How about public comment on this item? Any public comment? Any public comment? Seeing no public come forward, is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the contract between Lewis and Clark County and Paul M. Putz Historic Preservation Works LLC as presented by Pam Matardo.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the contract as presented. Further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I just want to reiterate how important it is to do historic preservation work, study our history. It's been said that those who fail to learn from history may be forced to relive it. And this is so studying our history, understanding why decisions have been made in the past will help us from making mistakes in the future.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right. Any other comments? With that, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is a board appointment. Mr. Baltz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. This is item number 6 on the agenda today. You have the backup memo. I'll read it into the record for your consideration. This is for the Tax Appeal Board. The candidate that will be discussed meets the qualifications for consideration of the board. Mike Noble has been serving at the pleasure of the commission with a term to expire June 30, 2026, and has resigned. Shauna Helford applied. Action staff recommends that the commissioners consider Shauna Helford for the position of the Tax Appeal Board to complete a term that expires June 30, 2026. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you. Any questions, commissioners? Okay. Any public comment on this item? Any public comment? Any public comment? Hearing none, is there a motion, please?
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the appointment of Shauna Halford to the Tax Appeal Board.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the appointment as presented. Further discussion, commissioners?
Just one comment. Mr. Noble served for a number of years on the Tax Appeal Board and had great experience. And when he was originally going to retire, they had a couple of new people on there. He stayed on to lend his expertise for a while until everybody got their feet on the ground. So I think we need to acknowledge the extra time and effort that he put forth beyond the normal time that people put on these boards. So I want to express our thanks.
Yes, sir. I'm glad you did that because I was going to do the same. He went way above and beyond and served much longer than he wanted to, beyond his 2 terms. And at one period of time, there were no applicants, and so he stayed on. And then we had someone who moved or retired or moved on, and so he stayed on again. And he helped carry that board forward for a long time. So really appreciate his work. And now he said, as soon as we have some good applicants that can take my spot, I'm ready to step away. So he's doing that now. So appreciate his above and beyond work for us. Anything else?
I just comment that the replacement as presented to us, she's been around tax issues
Right.
for a long time also. As I recall, she was maybe the deputy director of the Department of Revenue under Gene Welborn, which I know is a long time ago. But anyway, at least she knows how the numbers are supposed to work, and I think she'll be a great addition to our little group.
I agree there too. She's going to be great. So happy to support Shauna's appointments. Anything else, commissioners? All right. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you very much. We are at that time in our meeting where we will take public comment on any item that is under the jurisdiction of the commission, but not on today's agenda. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Seeing no public come forward, we will stand adjourned. Commissioners, thank you.